Greetings and welcome to Nanaba's Kitchen. If you're joining us for the first time today, a very warm welcome to you and thank you for doing so. And hopefully by the end of this video, you'll decide to join this beautiful family. Now, today on the menu, we're making a pastry item, a very favorite one from Ghana. It's called puff puff or Bofrot, but this is the dry version. And it's usually served with cocoa, which is a Ghanaian spice porridge. Also, it can be served as a snack with a refreshing beverage. Now, what I'm offering in this recipe is richness, that light, fluffy texture, but we're not going to be using any eggs. So if you don't like eggs, this recipe is for you. If you love eggs, you're still gonna enjoy this recipe. I know you know where this is going and I'm sure you're already enjoying the video, so why don't you go ahead and give your girl a thumbs up to encourage her. Now let's begin, beautiful people. The first thing we're going to do is prepare our yeast mixture. And to do that, I have already pre-measured 1 tablespoon of yeast, which comes to 8 grams of yeast, okay? This is dry and active. I'm going to pour it into my measuring cup here, and I'm going to add some water to it. And to the yeast and water mixture, I'm going to add some sugar because sugar helps the yeast to become active. Next thing we're going to do is whisk to combine the sugar, the water, and the yeast evenly. Cover with a kitchen cloth and set it aside for about 10 minutes until we gain a frothiness, a foamy substance will form on the top, indicating our yeast is good. Next is to combine our dry ingredients. I have pre-measured 5 level cups of flour into this mixing bowl, and I have half a cup of sugar minus the tablespoon we added to our yeast mixture. Salt, nutmeg, baking powder, powdered milk, all right, friends, so now that we have all of our dry ingredients here in the mixing bowl, I'm just going to stir, whisk them all together to combine evenly. Now let's talk about the baking powder. This recipe is minus eggs. And eggs play the role of a leavening agent in a recipe like this, and so does baking powder. A leavening agent helps the final product to be light, airy, and fluffy. Now, if you do not like baking powder, you can totally eliminate that from this recipe. What you'll end up with is still light, airy, but not as light and airy if you had the baking powder in it. That's just it. The butter is going to bring us that needed richness, and this is going to melt to a 1/4 cup of melted butter. Our butter is beautifully melted. And the yeast mixture has been sitting out for about 10 minutes. And let's check. Here is our yeast mixture. And see that foam? This yeast is good. So this is a new batch of yeast that I recently bought, and this is how I test my yeast. When I buy it, I test it this way to make sure it's good. Now I'm going to be adding half a teaspoon of pineapple extract into my yeast mixture. What a lovely fragrance. Now you can substitute your pineapple extract with your vanilla extract or almond extract, whatever kind of aroma you prefer. It's up to you. It'll still be delicious. So now we're going to combine our dry and our wet ingredients. I'm just going to create a small well in here and start pouring my yeast mixture into it. I'm also going to drizzle my butter into it. Perfect. And continue to combine to form the dough. Now for this recipe, I measured a total amount of 2 cups of water at room temperature for it. And I just poured in the rest of the water. The initial part of the water I used in preparing the yeast mixture, and the rest of it just went in. This is the texture I'm looking for, the sticky and soft feel. All right, so once you reach this texture, you're good to go. A little flour and spread it onto your clean work surface, and then pour the dough right onto the flour to prevent sticking. Okay. It is now at this stage where you're going to have the most fun. Pulling and stretching, slamming the dough around a few times to develop that important gluten. Friends, without gluten in this recipe, your final product will not be as light, as airy, fluffy, chewy, and gorgeous. Even in the next few days, if you manage to have leftover Bofrot. That resistance, see how the dough bounces back toward me? That means that the gluten is formed completely. Gluten gets really tight, all right? Dough is nice and smooth. I already see some rising action happening here, so we have to hurry up and form our little balls. Now first we're going to need to prepare the surface on which we're going to place our balls of Bofrot once they are formed. And to do that, you want to sprinkle a little flour onto it. I'm using a sheet pan. You can use your countertop, no problem. All right, but this is where they're also going to rise. So I sprinkle a little flour, make sure that it's evenly and generously coated. Then I section the dough after I sort of flatten it out into 2 equal parts by eyeballing it. I have done this so many times, I think I'm able to eyeball it and get accurate measurements here. So then I roll the dough out to make it easier to section them into smaller pieces to form the Bofrot balls. All right. Now this recipe will yield 27 Bofrots measuring 70 to 72 grams each when sectioned as I am doing right now. So that's for those of you who would like to measure it. We have a scale just so that you get the same size throughout. Now to form your dough into balls, what you're going to do is sort of flatten each section dough out and then collect each side and bring them into the middle, all right, to form sort of a parcel. And then when you're done, you're going to use the heel of your palm to lightly press and roll the dough onto the seam side, all right, to form almost an invisible seam. And then with the dough between your palm and your working surface, you're going to apply slight pressure while rolling the dough in a circular motion to gain a spherical shape, and you're done. You're going to continue to do so until all of your section doughs are formed into little balls. Another way to do it is to, when you form your seam or your parcel, you're going to place that dough in between both of your palms and roll it around in a circular motion to form a sphere, and you're done. And then place them on your floured baking sheet pan, because now they're ready to proof or rise. We want them to double in size and will be ready to fry. Now, a crucial step in the rising or proofing stage is drying them out in the sun. So if you live out where there is sun, please use it. This is how we did it back home in Ghana. they lay them out in the sun to sort of sun bathe. Because with the sun, what happens is a crusty, leathery outer layer is formed on the dough as it rises. So when you fry it, it becomes really crunchy on the outer layer, and it also prevents the Bofrot from absorbing oil. And that's what I really love about this recipe. Also, it cracks as it fries, and it's just so delicious to bite into that crunchy outer layer and into that surprising, pillowy, and airy inner layer. Now, in my mom's bakery, which was open for the most part of my childhood, I remember that she made these in huge batches and distributed them out to her pastry sellers. And she had big tables which set outside, and as these sun-bathed, at some point it required being flipped in order that the bottom part of the Bofrot also gained that crusty, crunchy, leathery outer coating before they were fried. They have doubled in size and we are ready to fry. Now, if you don't have much sun out where you live, no problem. You can prove them inside. Before you begin frying your Bofrot, your oil should be preheated on a medium to low heat setting. So to check and make sure that your oil is hot enough, you want to place a skewer into the middle of the oil at a 90-degree angle, and you should see some bubbling or sizzling action going on. That should be your indication that your oil is ready to receive the Bofrot. Now, to place the Bofrot into the hot oil, obviously be very, very careful. You don't want to splatter any hot oil onto yourself. Also, when you take the Bofrot, be careful because they are very delicate at that point. They're filled with a lot of air, all right? When they proof and rise, they become airy. So you don't want to deflate them. So take them very gently and place them also gently in that oil. The minute they go in, you want to start flipping them. And you also want to stay with your Bofrots at this stage. You don't want to walk away, all right? So you want to stay with them and you want to continuously flip them so they gain an even color distribution, that golden color distribution throughout, and cook also through completely. This should take about 6 to 8 minutes, and see how it's turning color. As you continue to flip them, the color becomes even throughout. This is the color I'm going for. And we are done. We're going to remove them out of the oil and continue frying the next batch. Beautiful people, I know you can see that crunch right now. Look at that. You don't even have to touch them to know this crunch. Wow, these turned out very lovely. Friends, as you love what you're seeing, if you haven't given me a thumbs up yet, please do so now. We're going to continue frying until we're done. An important fact to note about the dry version of Bofrot or puff puff is that you want to be as light-handed as possible in the amount of sugar you add to the dough. Because if you have too much sugar in the dough, they brown too soon when you fry them, leaving the inside uncooked. Okay? Now, if you want more sugar in your Bofrots, what you can do is after you fry them, coat them with sugar. So each bite will be sweeter. Okay? We're almost done cooking. Please don't forget to give me a thumbs up and also subscribe if you haven't already done so, and click on that bell. That's very important so we can continue to have fun, especially in that kitchen. All right, friends, as you can see, we're about to feast again on this beautiful snack. The children are ready, so am I. I cannot wait to open one and show you how soft and pillowy, how light and gorgeous it is on the inside. So come on, let's check. First, look at the skin. Oh, crunchy. Now let's open it. Look at that. Just take a look. Wow, look. Look at how pillowy it is. Look at that. They are perfect. Please share this video with everyone you know. Thank you. Thank you all so much for joining us again on this exciting episode. I hope to see you again pretty soon on my next one. Go and get all your ingredients, which I know you currently have in your pantry, and throw it down for your family. They will be very thankful. Always make it a great day and have fun, especially in that kitchen. Bye.